back to Fox News Saturday night, where it is time to meet the panel. Say hello to Kennedy and Brian Brenberg, everybody.
Yeah, man.
Good to see you. I do want to thank you for being here, because I know you were busy all week calling people up pretending to be Susie Wiles and asking them for money.
Hi there, this is Susie Wiles. I would love for you to reach into your heart and your bank account and send something to me. I will pass it along to the president just as soon as I see him again.
For those of you, that was funny. For those of you at home who may have missed the story, the FBI is looking into reports that someone was pretending to be the president's chief of staff and hitting people up for money. This comes just a few months after someone was pretending to be the actual president. And true story. I bring up Biden because the Democrats are doing a postmortem on the 2024 election, and it's led the party to spend $20 million in an effort to study the syntax used by young men in order to win back male voters. Because nothing tells the kids you're hip like reading slang terms out of a glossary. Am I right? What you doing, guys? Are you on the pot? You know? But the plan also calls for the involvement of liberal influencer Olivia Giuliana, who had this to say. Here she is.
I love young men. I love frat guys.
Yeah, this is not what the glossary, yeah, I know. This is not what the glossary meant when it said go big or go home, by the way. Listen, I can tell that joke. If I wasn't hosting this show, I'd be a before model. Are you kidding me? Now, the good news is that Democrats do voter outreach like this all the time. And whenever they do, about 10,000 guys respond. The bad news is 9,000 of them are wearing a dress. So in the words of Nobel laureate Axl Rose, where do we go now, Kennedy? Where do we go?
Where do we go? Yeah, it's syntax.
That's the problem.
Yeah, it's not the fact that they have coined terms like the manosphere. The manosphere is so toxic because of toxic masculinity. Thank God we have these new men, these succulent himbos like Doug Emhoff and Tim Walz. You know,
when you called me in that Susie Wild voice this week, you said something about succulent himbos. I was wondering. I can see now. That's why I sent you all the money.
You know.
And I thank you for that.
For a guy who hosts,
well used.
He hosts 2 hours of business television a day, but he's not that street smart. That's the problem. He's like
Susie,
a good
investment. I don't know.
Susie, I'll be damned if they get the president.
He sent me traveler's checks.
To Jakarta.
That was the first.
Brenberg, though, as a business host, doesn't the fact that they're spending $20 million on a grocery disqualify them on the economy, too?
Well, I think so. So help me out with this. They're spending $20 million in this. They spent $1.5 billion.
Yes.
And the guy they got was Tim Walz, right? So what kind of guy do they think they're going to get for $20 million? I'm thinking maybe like Emmanuel Macron's wife. Is that who they're trying to get?
Oh, Brenberg!
Who they're trying
Went
to get?
there! Went there!
I don't know.
Went there! Don't you dare make me tell an Obama joke.
Try to tee up there.
You stop it. I don't you dare. Macron's
Michelle?
wife. Yeah. But you saw Macron's wife punch him in the face, right?
I sure did, yeah.
It's honestly the funniest thing you've ever
It's
seen.
amazing.
It is. He set back French military stereotypes 200 years by getting off the.
She crossed the Maginot Line.
I'm worried about his neck because that was a double arm bar.
Yeah.
You know, it's like two gnarled hands to the face, and his neck snapped back so hard. Like, he's going to need a good chiropractor.
That's what they call it in France.
But I think the problem is, like, they're catering to identity instead of humanity. You know, because that's what they do. That's how they courted people. And you remember when Joe Biden was calling Latino voters breakfast tacos? And she said they're as unique as the bodegas in the Bronx. For those of you in the middle of the country, it's a bodega. It's a family-owned Latino deli. And she goes, you're as unique as the bodegas in the Bronx. Tell them, Joey. You're going the wrong way, honey. Tell them about the bodegas. And I think that's the problem. I think, honestly, this is a serious point. I think Obama set them back because Obama ushered in the era of identity politics, where they made every political disagreement about his identity. They were like, gee, what's so different about him that you want to give $50 billion to Iran? You know what I mean? And we're like, no, we just don't like Iran, and they want to blow us up, you know? So don't you think they're just unlearning the lessons of Obama? Because it was effective with Obama, but it's not effective now.
Well, even Obama isn't effective anymore.
Not even
because,
close, yeah.
You know, he was like, Joe, first of all, you got to get out of the race. And second of all, we have to have an open primary. And Joe is like, yeah, weekend at Bernie's, like auto-penning his resignation letter. And the one thing he does before he dies for the night is, Kamala!
She's not wrong. She's not wrong. But let me ask you this. Have you ever gotten so depressed that it knocked out the guards outside your cell and disabled the electronics?
Yeah, and broke the cameras right outside my cell, where I was the most notorious prisoner in the entire country. Basically under suicide watch, where they had to check on me every 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And the guards mysteriously fell asleep for hours.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Which is a fancy way of saying we're not buying it yet. Let me go to Brenberg. You're a lifelong Minnesota Vikings fan, which means you're an expert on people hanging themselves.
Yeah.
What?
I don't have the lived experience quite yet.
He doesn't have the lived experience. Brenberg, where are you on this story?
Well, the thing about it is Jake Tapper's got a book coming out on this very thing. And what he's discovered is that Jeffrey Epstein is dead.
Get out of here!
You're not going to believe it.
Nobody knew.
I can't. You're telling me that Jake Tapper is the only one in this country who can uncover these unfathomable truths. And please, don't ask any questions about Jake Tapper's finances, because they're more mysterious than Jeffrey Epstein.
He's not doing it for the money, so don't do that Susie Wiles voice and call him up and try to get his own. Okay? Don't try that.
All right.
It looks like I'm a wreck. It's in the hole!